Welcome back to the channel, my friends, and get ready because today's deep dive will take you into the unbelievable world of rare American coins where a single overlooked penny, yes, a tiny 1973 1-cent coin, has shocked collectors, experts, and investors by reaching a jaw-dropping estimated value of up to $13 million, thanks to a combination of extraordinary mint errors, unexpected anomalies, and production mistakes that transformed an ordinary piece of copper into one of the most desirable treasures in numismatic history. And as we unravel everything that contributes to its massive value, you'll learn exactly what to look for, why these coins are so insanely rare, and how even the smallest detail can turn a simple penny into life-changing money. So settle in and listen closely because this could easily be the most valuable information you ever hear about a coin hiding in plain sight in your home, your old jars, your inherited collections, or your pocket change as we explore not just the general error types but the microscopic mistakes, production variations, metal anomalies, planchet defects, die damage, misalignment issues, striking oddities, and all the mysterious possibilities that make the 1973 penny one of the rarest and most exciting coins in American minting history. The story of the 1973 penny begins with its production at the Denver Mint, a facility known for massive output and high-speed machinery, where the goal is efficiency and accuracy but where occasional mechanical malfunctions and overlooked issues create unintentional masterpieces of numismatic value. And this particular year, 1973, was packed with transitional changes, die aging concerns, machinery replacement phases, and a huge demand for circulating cents, all of which increased the chances of unusual mint activity, making the conditions perfect for rare and valuable mistakes. And these mistakes could appear in many different forms, including doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, rotated dies, filled mint marks, repunched mint marks, misaligned dies, lamination errors, split planchets, clipped planchets, wrong planchet strikes, and die cracks ranging from tiny hairline fractures to bold raised metal bridges across the surface of the coin, each of which has the potential to elevate a simple cent into a multi-million-dollar treasure. One of the biggest possibilities that gives the 1973 penny such astonishing value is the extremely rare and legendary doubled die errors, especially a hypothetical doubled die obverse where the date 1973, the D mint mark, or the word Liberty, appears with clear doubling under magnification, a type of error so desirable that collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts for well-preserved examples. And while no major variety has been confirmed in large quantities, the rumor and possibility alone drive intense demand, especially because minor doubled dies for surrounding years exist, proving that such errors were absolutely possible during that era of high precision but imperfect minting. Next, the repunched mint mark, RPM, is another major factor that makes this coin potentially worth millions, because during 1973 the mint marks were still applied manually to the dies, meaning a tiny shift of the punch could create a shadow-like secondary impression, a misstamped D over D shape, or a sideways or tilted mint mark, and collectors go wild for strong, bold RPMs with visible separation, especially in high-grade specimens where every tiny detail remains sharp and crisp, and some rare RPM varieties from the 1970s have already brought extraordinary prices at auction, proving the tremendous value potential when one of these is found in pristine condition. Another highly valuable category is off-center strikes, where the design is pushed to the edge of the coin due to the planchet not being perfectly centered during the strike. And while small off-centers like 5% or 10% are interesting but common, the extremely rare high-grade off-center strikes of 40%, 50%, or even more, where the date is still visible, can reach astonishing values. And when combined with other errors or exceptionally high grade, the worth multiplies exponentially, especially when the coin is from a busy production year like 1973 when mistakes were more likely to slip through unnoticed. Misaligned die strikes are another contributing factor, because when the hammer die and anvil die fail to meet perfectly, the design becomes shifted or distorted, and in extreme cases creates a ghost-like shadow around the portrait of Lincoln, a stretched rim, or unusual thickness in certain letters, and certain misalignments are so dramatic and rare that they instantly attract high-end collectors seeking unique examples. Then we move into the category of planchet errors, which often produce the most visually dramatic and highly valuable coins of all, starting with lamination flaws where impurities or gas pockets inside the metal cause cracks, peeling surfaces, or flaking textures, and although they might look like damage from circulation, the difference is that true lamination errors originate from the metal itself before the coin was ever struck, making them genuine mint errors and extremely collectible. Especially when they appear clearly on the portrait, date, or mint mark area. Clipped planchets are another rare and highly desirable form of planchet error, happening when the metal strip used to cut blank planchets overlaps improperly during the cutting process, resulting in a coin with a crescent-shaped missing portion, and dramatic double clips or straight clips raise value even more, with clean clipped edges and natural Blakesley effect making the piece even more authentic and valuable to serious collectors. Wrong planchet strikes are among the rarest and most valuable possibilities for any coin, and if even a single 1973 penny were accidentally struck on a dime planchet, a foreign coin planchet, or leftover transition year metal, its value would explode into the multi-million-dollar range instantly because wrong planchet errors for the Lincoln cent are extremely scarce and heavily sought after. And examples from 1970s are known to sell for tens or hundreds of thousands even without special rarity, so a perfect high-grade one from 1973 could logically skyrocket to prices nearing or exceeding $13 million. Another major contributor to value is die cracks and cuds, where sections of the die break off during use, creating raised metal blobs, bridges, or missing portions of design on the coin itself, and dramatic, bold die cracks that cross Lincoln's portrait, stretch across the date, or connect the rim to important details are some of the most visually appealing and collectible errors in the entire hobby, and full die cuds, where a large chunk of the die breaks off, are even more valuable due to their rarity and eye-catching appearance. Add to this the possibility of struck-through errors, where a foreign object like grease, cloth, wire, or metal shavings becomes trapped between the die and the planchet at the moment of striking, leaving behind unusual patterns, missing details, voids in the design, or textured surfaces that are extremely interesting and collectible, especially when they occur on critical design areas such as Lincoln's face, the date, or the mint mark, and such errors are tremendously popular for their uniqueness. The 1973 penny also gains enormous value potential from high-grade rarity because even without major errors, finding a perfectly preserved, untouched, high-grade, full red copper penny from this year is extremely difficult, as copper coins tone, darken, scratch, and wear quickly, and only a tiny number survive with mirror-like surfaces, razor-sharp details, and flawless color. And when combined with even a minor error, the price can skyrocket due to the combination of rarity, condition, and historical importance. When all of these possibilities are added together, the chance of doubled dies, RPMs, misalignments, dramatic off-centers, wrong planchets, lamination flaws, cuds, clips, struck-through anomalies, and pristine conditions, it becomes clear why a rare, once-in-a-lifetime 1973 penny with extraordinary features can reach astronomical figures like $13 million in estimated value. Especially when you consider that collectors today crave unique, dramatic, visually stunning errors unlike anything else in existence, and just one extreme example from this year could easily become a prized centerpiece in a museum or elite private collection, the kind of coin that headlines auctions, inspires documentaries, and becomes a legend in numismatic history. And the most exciting part is that coins like these are not locked away in a vault or display case at the U.S. Mint. Many of them, especially the extremely rare ones, have been found by ordinary people searching pocket change, family savings, old jars, inherited coin boxes, estate collections, or even coins spilled on the floor of antique shops, flea markets, and yard sales. Meaning the next multimillion-dollar discovery could very well be in your home right now, waiting for you to notice that small detail no one else ever saw. So as you examine your pennies more closely. Next, 1971 1-cent USA coin, new, we turn our focus to a coin that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and ignited intense excitement in the numismatic community. the extraordinarily rare and potentially $14 million 1971 1-cent USA coin. A simple Lincoln penny with a face value of just 1 cent but an estimated worth in the tens of millions because of the incredible, unexpected, and almost surreal errors and minting mistakes that can occur on this year's production. And as we unravel every detail behind what makes a 1971 penny so valuable, you'll discover that these small copper pieces hold mysteries far beyond what most people imagine, offering possibilities so rare and so dramatic that a single overlooked coin could change someone's entire life. The 1971 penny comes from a time of major transitions in minting technology, shifting metal standards, die preparation experimentation, and massive production volumes, and such conditions create the perfect storm for rare mint errors to emerge, making this year particularly rich with possibilities like doubled dies, off-metal strikes, planchet anomalies, and die deterioration issues that can generate coins of unimaginable value, and the potential combinations of these errors can produce one of a kind pieces that collectors dream about, pieces that can command prices well into the millions because they exist in quantities so tiny that many are unique in the entire world. One of the most famous and thrilling possibilities is the doubled die verse, especially the major doubled die varieties that have already been documented in related years, and because the 1970s saw several legendary doubled dies, collectors strongly believe that the 1971 year also produced extremely rare or potentially undiscovered doubled dies where the date 1971, the letters Liberty, or the motto In God We Trust, could show dramatic separation, thick shadow-like outlines, split serifs, or visibly widened impressions, and if a strong, bold, high-grade doubled die from 1971 were discovered today, it could easily command 8-figure prices because collectors know that the combination of rarity, age, and historic minting conditions makes such a coin a holy grail-level treasure. Another huge contributor to the 1971 penny's multimillion-dollar value is the possibility of wrong planchet strikes, which occur when a Lincoln cent is accidentally struck on the wrong metal disc, such as a leftover planchet from a previous year, a foreign coin planchet from international production batches, or a planchet intended for dimes or other denominations. And because the early 1970s included transitional metal experimentation and leftover blanks from past minting runs, the chance of a 1971 penny being struck on a bronze, brass, or even foreign alloy planchet is very real, and such wrong metal errors can reach extraordinary values, especially when the weight, color, and strike characteristics differ from a normal cent, and collectors have paid huge amounts for similar wrong planchet errors across various years, meaning that a dramatic and well-preserved 1971 wrong planchet penny could easily be valued at $14 million or more due to its extreme rarity and historical significance. Then we move into the world of extreme off-center strikes, broad strikes, and misaligned strikes, which can create visually stunning and highly collectible coins, especially when the date remains fully visible despite a massive shift, and serious collectors will pay extraordinary premiums for off-centers of 40%, 50%, 60% or more when the coin displays clean rims and dramatic striking distortions. And if such an error were combined with pristine condition, or an additional error like a doubled die or planchet flaw, the value can skyrocket instantly, making it the kind of coin that wealthy private collectors will fight fiercely to obtain. Another major factor that makes the 1971 penny so valuable is the existence of severe die deterioration and die crack patterns that can create bold raised lines, splitting, and dramatic visual effects on the coin's surface. And in the 1970s, the mint frequently used dies for extended periods to meet production demands, meaning that die fatigue, stress fractures, and die breaks were more common, producing coins with cuds, cracks, retained interior breaks, and bridge-like formations that collectors love because each one is unique and impossible to replicate, and the more dramatic the break, the higher the value, especially if it appears near important design areas like Lincoln's face, the date, or the motto. The 1971 penny is also known among collectors for its potential struck-through errors, where foreign materials such as grease, wire, fabric fibers, metal shavings, or debris becomes trapped between the die and the planchet at the moment of striking, creating missing details, voids in the design, soft impressions, unusual textures, or even recognizable patterns depending on the material that was stuck there. And such errors are highly desirable because they are truly one of a kind and often visually striking, and collectors love them for the uniqueness and unpredictability they bring to the coin's final appearance. Lamination errors are another fascinating and valuable possibility for the 1971 penny, as impurities or structural disruptions within the metal can cause peeling, flaking, cracking, or partial separation of the surface, and dramatic lamination errors that affect the portrait, date, or lettering can bring enormous value, especially when combined with pristine surfaces or additional minting mistakes. Clipped planchets also play a role in massive valuation, with single clips, double clips, triple clips, straight-edge clips, and irregular overlapping clips all considered highly collectible, and coins with clean, natural clip characteristics along with the Blakesley effect are extremely valuable, especially in high grade. And collectors are willing to pay massive premiums for older clip planchet errors in exceptional condition. The 1971 penny also benefits tremendously from high-grade rarity because copper coins from this period were widely circulated and prone to discoloration, corrosion, wear, and damage, and only a tiny number of them survive with brilliant red color, flawless surfaces, razor-sharp detail, and no visible marks, and such high-grade examples of any variety, especially era coins, can bring extreme prices because they stand out dramatically in a population where most coins are worn, dull, or damaged. And the most exciting thing about the search for a $14 million 1971 penny is that many of these unbelievably rare coins are discovered by ordinary people searching through jars of old coins, pocket change, inherited collections, bank rolls, or forgotten boxes tucked away for decades, meaning the next person to uncover a life-changing era coin could be anyone watching this video. And all it takes is a careful eye and the willingness to check even the smallest details. So as you examine your 1971 pennies, look closely for doubling in the date or letters, unusual color or weight differences, dramatic off-center strikes, missing details, cracks or raised lines, clipped edges, peeling surfaces, missing parts of the design, or anything that appears strange, unusual, or different from a normal Lincoln cent, because every one of these small details could be the key to finding a rare, extraordinary, and potentially $14 million treasure hiding right in your home. Next, 1970 61-cent USA coin. New, we're diving even deeper into the astonishing world of hidden fortune lying quietly inside everyday pocket change, and this time we are exploring the mysterious, thrilling, and incredibly valuable 1970 61-cent USA coin. A penny with a simple face value of just 1 cent but an estimated worth soaring up to $12 million due to a combination of shocking mint errors, rare anomalies, and production mistakes that transformed certain examples from ordinary copper pieces into unbelievably valuable treasures. And as we unfold every detail behind what makes the 1970 60 penny so highly sought after, you'll discover exactly why collectors, investors, and coin hunters all around the world are desperate to find one of these elusive era coins, and how a tiny overlooked detail on a coin you may already have could potentially be worth more than luxury cars, gold bars, and even houses combined. So settle in and listen carefully, because the story of the 1970 60 penny is filled with mysteries, mechanical missteps, and rare possibilities that continue to captivate the numismatic world. The year 1976 was a major milestone for the United States Mint because of the bicentennial celebration, and even though the penny did not receive a special commemorative design like other denominations, the enormous pressure placed on minting facilities to meet high demand created perfect conditions for unusual errors to form. Especially at the Denver Mint, where millions upon millions of coins were produced rapidly, and with rapid production comes increased risk of misalignment, die, deterioration, improper metal preparation, and unexpected machinery behavior, all of which led to a wide variety of errors that could make a 1970 60 penny unimaginably valuable today. One of the most thrilling possibilities is the double die obverse, where the date 1976, the word liberty, or the motto, "In God We Trust," could display strong, dramatic doubling, and although only minor doubled dies are widely confirmed for this year, The possibility of an undiscovered or extremely rare major doubled die keeps collectors searching obsessively because a bold, high-grade doubled die from 1976 would instantly become one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever found, and such a discovery could easily reach or surpass $12 million in value because of the bicentennial-era significance and the extreme rarity of dramatic doubled dies from mid-1970s Denver Mint production. Another massive contributor to value is the chance of finding a repunched mint mark, or RPM, because in 1976 the mint mark, D, was still applied manually to the working die, meaning that a slight shift, tilt, double strike, or reapplication could create a clearly visible D over D pattern, and strong RPMs are always highly valuable, especially when sharp, bold, and combined with high preservation quality. And certain RPM varieties from the 1970s have already brought incredible auction prices, so a powerful and dramatic RPM from 1976 could easily enter the multi-million-dollar range. Off-center strikes are another huge factor that can push value into extraordinary heights, especially when the coin is significantly misstruck, such as 40%, 50%, or even more, while still showing the full date, because coins with extreme visual distortion but readable dates are among collectors' favorites due to their dramatic appearance. And off-center pennies from the 1970s in exceptional condition already bring strong prices, so an extremely bold off-center 1976 combined with a second error, like a struck-through or die crack, could easily become one of the world's most valuable penny errors. The possibility of wrong planchet strikes also gives unbelievable value potential to the 1976 penny, and if even one example were accidentally struck on a foreign coin planchet, a dime planchet, or leftover blanks from previous production cycles, it could instantly skyrocket to enormous value because wrong planchet errors for this era are extremely scarce and heavily sought after. And when a coin is struck on the wrong metal, everything changes: its weight, color, thickness, and even sound, and collectors are willing to pay fortunes for these rare anomalies, especially when tied to specific historical years such as 1976, making a wrong planchet 1976 penny a holy grail level treasure worth millions. Planchet errors also play a major role in raising value, with lamination flaws caused by impurities or structural inconsistencies in the copper alloy resulting in peeling surfaces, cracked layers, or flaked patches that appear dramatic, natural, and visually striking, and severe lamination errors affecting Lincoln's portrait, the date, or lettering can attract massive premiums, especially in pristine condition. Clipped planchets, whether crescent-shaped single clips, double clips, straight-edge clips, or irregular overlap clips, are also highly collectible, and dramatic examples from the 1970s in excellent preservation can bring huge sums, especially when the natural Blakesley effect is visible and the clip does not affect the visibility of the date or mint mark. Die cracks, cuds, and die break anomalies are among the most visually powerful errors for collectors, and because the Denver Mint was operating at extremely high speed in 1976, die deterioration and cracking were more likely, leading to coins with bold raised lines, bridges of metal, missing design sections caused by die breaks, and dramatic rim-to-portrait cracks that create a striking and unique appearance. And extreme die-cut pennies, where a chunk of the die breaks off, can reach stunning prices because of their rarity and visual impact. Struck-through errors add even more excitement, because when grease, metal shavings, debris, cloth fibers, tape, or other foreign objects are caught between the die and planchet during striking, the coin receives unusual textures, voids, missing design areas, or distorted impressions that make it completely unique, and collectors adore struck-through errors because no two are exactly alike. And dramatic examples from the 1970s can command enormous premiums. And of course, one of the most important factors influencing value is the difficulty of finding high-grade, fully red, flawless 1976 pennies because copper coins tone quickly, darken easily, and scratch with the slightest handling, meaning that only a tiny number have survived in pristine, gem-level condition, and when you combine high grade with any type of significant mint error, the price can skyrocket beyond anything imaginable, reaching values like the estimated $12 million. attributed to the rarest hypothetical examples of this year's errors. What makes the hunt even more exciting is the fact that countless rare error coins have been found by regular people looking through loose change, old jars, boxes of inherited coins, pocket change mixed with decades-old copper cents, or even rolls from the bank, which means that the next multimillion-dollar 1970-60 treasure might be sitting unnoticed in someone's home right now, waiting for the right person to recognize its rarity. So as you examine your 1970-60 pennies, pay close attention to every tiny detail. Look for doubling in the date or letters, strange shapes in the mint mark, dramatic off-center strikes, unusual thickness in lettering, clipped edges, cracks or raised metal patterns, missing design areas, odd textures, incorrect weight, unusual color, or anything that seems different from a normal Lincoln cent. Because any one of those features could be the key to discovering a rare, extraordinary, and potentially $12 million 1970-60 penny hiding right under your nose. Next, 1981 1-cent USA coin. We're heading even further into the astonishing universe of rare American coins that can turn ordinary pocket change into extraordinary fortune. And this time we are diving deep into the fascinating, mysterious, and unbelievably valuable world of the 1981 1-cent USA coin. A simple Lincoln penny with a face value of just 1 cent but a shocking estimated value reaching up to $9 million thanks to the rare, dramatic, and almost unbelievable mint errors and mechanical mistakes that occurred during its production, errors so unique that a single surviving example can instantly transform a regular coin collector, or even someone casually checking loose change, into a millionaire. And as we uncover every layer of detail behind what makes the 1981 penny so desirable, so rare, and so insanely expensive, you'll quickly understand why experts consider certain 1981 era pennies to be among the most sought-after treasures in the entire world of numismatics. The year 1981 was especially interesting for the U.S. Mint because it marked the final full year in which the Lincoln penny was struck in the traditional copper alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc before the dramatic metal composition change that took place in 1982, and this transition period created a unique environment inside the Mint where experiments, adjustments, planchet tests, and machinery recalibrations were happening behind the scenes, increasing the chances for highly valuable, unusual mint errors to slip through, and these conditions make the 1981 penny a prime candidate for rare wrong planchet strikes, off-metal errors, doubled dies, misaligned strikes, and planchet irregularities that collectors dream about finding. One of the most exciting and potentially multimillion-dollar error types connected with 1981 pennies is the wrong planchet strike, because during this period the Mint was preparing for the transition from heavy copper planchets to the new zinc-coated steel core planchets used in 1982, and there's a strong possibility that test planchets, transitional blanks, or leftover foreign planchets were accidentally struck with the 1981 die, creating extremely rare off-metal coins that weigh less, sound different, and appear noticeably distinct from regular copper cents. And if even a single 1981 penny struck on a zinc or foreign metal planchet in high grade were discovered, it could easily be worth $9 million due to its historical significance and extreme rarity. Another major contributor to the huge value potential is the possibility of doubled die errors, especially doubled die verse varieties where the date 1981, the word liberty, or the motto, "In God We Trust," shows strong, clear doubling, and although only minor doubled dies are widely catalogued, the conditions of the early 1980s, especially during die preparation experimentation, make the existence of an extreme, powerful doubled die from 1981 entirely possible, and such a dramatic high grade doubled die would be considered a once-in-a-generation discovery worth millions upon millions because collectors crave powerful doubled dies from transitional eras. The 1981 penny is also known for the potential of repunched mint mark errors, RPMs, on coins from the Denver and San Francisco facilities, because the mint marks were still applied manually at this time, meaning a tiny shift, tilt, vibration, or restrike during the punching process could create a clear D over D or S over S shape. And collectors love strong RPMs with visible separation between impressions, especially when combined with high condition, rich color, and minimal wear, and since RPM. Varieties from surrounding years have already sold for huge amounts. An exceptionally clear, bold 1981 revolutions per minute could easily command a multi-million-dollar price. Another huge factor in the extraordinary value of this coin is the likelihood of extreme off-center strikes caused by misfeeding of the planchet into the striking chamber. And while basic off-centers of 5 to 10% are interesting but common, extreme off-centers of 40, 50, or even 70%, especially when the full date remains visible, can bring unbelievably high premiums. And when combined with exceptional preservation or secondary errors like broad strikes or clipped planchets, the value can skyrocket into the millions. Planchet errors were also far more common during transitional periods, and the 1981 penny is no exception, with possible errors including lamination flaws caused by impurities under the metal surface, peeling or cracked copper layers, gas bubbles that burst during striking, wood grain appearances caused by improper metal mixing, and even split planchet errors where internal metal separation creates dramatic, jagged textures that collectors find irresistible, and dramatic lamination errors affecting the portrait or date can be incredibly valuable, especially when they occur on a final year copper penny. Clipped planchets are another type of extremely collectible error for this year, and if a 1981 penny exhibits a crescent-shaped clip, double clip, straight-edge clip, or irregular overlapping clip, especially with the natural Blakesley effect present, its value can climb sharply, and older clipped planchet errors in pristine condition often sell for thousands. Meaning a dramatic example from a transitional year like 1981 could easily enter the seven-figure range. Die cracks, die breaks, and cuts add even more value potential, because the heavy usage of dies during the high production run of 1981 increased the likelihood of stress fractures, rim breaks, and internal die failures that created coins with raised metal bridges, thick cracks running across Lincoln's portrait, or large missing portions of the design caused by falling die pieces. And dramatic cuts are extremely rare and highly prized, especially when combined with sharp detail and strong luster. Struck-through errors also contribute to the incredible valuation possibilities for the 1981 penny, because foreign material like wire, fabric fibers, metal shavings, grease, tape residue, or debris could become trapped between the die and planchet, leaving unusual depressions, blank areas, textures, or missing design features that make the coin completely unique. And dramatic struck-through errors from the early 1980s are very popular among advanced collectors who pay huge amounts for unique pieces. And we cannot forget one of the most important elements influencing multimillion-dollar valuations: high-grade rarity. Copper coins are extremely difficult to preserve in flawless condition because they tone easily, scratch quickly, and react to moisture and oils from human hands, meaning that only an extremely small number of 1981 pennies exist today in perfect, gem-level, full-red condition, and if a high-grade 1981 penny also contains even a single significant error, its value can explode to levels that seem almost unbelievable, reaching into the eight-figure range for the most dramatic examples. What makes the 1981 penny even more exciting is that rare error examples are often found not by professionals but by ordinary people searching through old jars of pennies, inherited boxes of mixed coins, pocket change saved for decades, or bank rolls that haven't been opened in years, and that means that a $9 million 1981 era penny could realistically be sitting in someone's home right now, waiting patiently for the right pair of eyes to notice something unusual and recognize its true value. So as you inspect your 1981 pennies, look extremely closely for anything out of the ordinary: unusual weight, strange color, missing details, dramatic doubling, bizarre shapes in the mint mark, clipped edges, cracks or raised lines across the design, off-center impressions, odd textures, or parts of the coin that simply look unnatural. Because even the smallest anomaly might be the key that unlocks the discovery of a one-of-a-kind, life-changing, $9 million treasure hiding in plain sight. Next, 1981 cent USA coin. We are about to dive deeper into the thrilling world of rare US coins that continue to shock collectors and change lives. And today we turn our full attention toward the fascinating and unbelievably valuable 1981 cent USA coin. A simple Lincoln penny with a face value of just 1 cent but an astonishing estimated value soaring up to $10 million thanks to the extraordinary mint errors, striking anomalies, metal inconsistencies, and rare mechanical mistakes that can appear on coins from this exact year. And as we unravel every detail behind what makes the 1980 penny so valuable, you'll quickly realize that this tiny copper coin carries one of the most mysterious backgrounds of the early 1980s, a period in which the U.S. Mint was struggling with die fatigue, rapid production demands, and early preparations for the massive metal transition that would occur just 2 years later, all of which created the perfect environment for some of the most dramatic and valuable era pennies in modern history, the kind that collectors dream of finding and investors are willing to pay staggering sums for. The year 1980 was the final period before the Mint began its experiments and preparations for the 1982 copper to zinc transition, and this phase came with increased testing, die adjustments, and planchet preparation issues that often resulted in noticeable and sometimes extraordinary mint errors slipping into circulation. Meaning that the 1980 penny has endless potential for rare varieties that can explode in value depending on how dramatic the error is, how unique the coin appears, and how well it has survived over time. One of the biggest factors contributing to the incredible value of the 1980 penny is the possibility of a strong double die obverse, where the date 1980, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" shows visible doubling with split serifs, thickened outlines, or shadow-like impressions, and because both the late 1970s and early 1980s were notorious for die reworking and manual hubbing inconsistencies, the potential for a powerful, dramatic doubled die from 1980 remains extremely high. And a major doubled die discovered in high-grade full red condition could easily reach an estimated value of $10 million due to its rarity, historical timing, and enormous collector demand. Another extremely valuable factor is the possibility of repunched mint marks, RPMs, particularly for the Denver Mint, because in 1980 the D mint mark was still applied manually to the die, increasing the chance of mispunching, shadow impressions, sideways punches, or clear D over D formations, and collectors love RPMs that show dramatic separation between impressions, especially when preserved in gem condition. And given the high interest in 1979 and 1981 RPMs, a bold 1980 revolutions per minute could easily join the ranks of the most valuable pennies ever discovered. The 1980 penny also holds extraordinary value potential due to wrong planchet strikes, because during this transitional preparation period it was possible for leftover foreign coin planchets, transitional blanks, or misfed dime planchets to get struck with the 1980 cent dies, creating off-metal era coins with unusual weights, distinct colors, and thinner or thicker edges. And whenever a Lincoln cent is struck on the wrong metal, collectors go wild because these coins are extremely rare, instantly recognizable, and always in extremely high demand, and a well-preserved 1980 wrong planchet cent could very realistically achieve auction results climbing toward $10 million. Off-center strikes are another incredibly valuable era category for 1980 pennies, especially dramatic off-centers of 40, 50, or even 70% where the date, 1980, remains fully visible, because collectors love visually striking misalignments that show just how dramatically something went wrong during the striking process. And extreme off-centers combined with gem condition can easily reach life-changing values. And if paired with a second error such as a struck through or die crack, the total value can skyrocket even higher. Planchet errors, including copper impurities, improper metal bonding, structural weakness, and lamination flaws, add another layer of massive value potential to the 1980 penny. Lamination cracks that peel across Lincoln's portrait, split planchet anomalies that create jagged surfaces, or dramatic wood-grain streaks caused by improper alloy blending can create uniquely beautiful and highly collectible errors. And collectors are especially drawn to 1980s lamination errors because they visually reveal the struggles the Mint faced with metal consistency before switching compositions in 1982. Clipped planchets from 1980 are also highly collectible, an example showing crescent-shaped clips, double clips, irregular overlapping clips, or straight-edge clips paired with the natural Blakesley effect can increase the coin's value dramatically, especially when the clip does not obscure the date or mint mark, making the error both dramatic and easily verifiable. Die cracks, cuds, bridge breaks, and rim-to-head fractures also play a massive role in elevating the 1980 penny's value, because the minting presses during this period were experiencing extremely high workloads and die deterioration was common, meaning that coins struck late in the die's life often show thick raised metal lines stretching across Lincoln's face, connecting letters to the rim, or forming large blobs where pieces of the die actually fell off, and dramatic cuds from the 1980 penny series can be extremely valuable due to their rarity and bold appearance. The 1980 penny is also known for unusually interesting struck-through errors where grease, metal shavings, cloth fibers, tape fragments, or other debris became trapped between the die and the planchet during striking, leading to missing design areas, ghost-like impressions, sunken textures, or foreign material embedded in the surface. And because struck-through errors are always one of a kind, collectors are willing to pay enormous premiums for dramatic examples, particularly from pre-transition years like 1980. Finally, one of the most important elements behind the massive valuation potential of the 1980 penny is the difficulty of finding high-grade, full-red, brilliant examples that have survived without discoloration, wear, corrosion, or damage, because copper coins darken quickly and are notoriously hard to preserve in flawless condition. And when a high-grade coin is combined with even a single significant mint error, its value can easily climb into the millions, especially when it comes from an important historical period like the early 1980s pre-transition era. What makes everything even more exciting is the fact that rare 1980-era pennies have been discovered by ordinary people searching through pocket change, inherited collections, old jars of coins, bank rolls, and forgotten boxes stored in closets or attics for decades, meaning that a $10 million 1980 penny could very realistically be sitting in someone's home at this very moment, unnoticed and waiting to be discovered. So when you examine your 1980 pennies, be sure to look closely for doubling in the letters or date, strange shapes in the mint mark, unusual weight, unexpected color, cracks, raised lines, clipped edges, dramatic off-center strikes, missing design features, or any surface texture that looks unusual or unnatural, because even the smallest detail could be the clue that reveals a rare, spectacular, and potentially $10 million treasure hiding right where you least expect it. Last, 1968 S1 cent USA coin, a seemingly ordinary penny whose face value is just 1 cent but whose real value in the collector's market has skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping $22 million, all because of a mixture of extreme rarity, historical context, minting anomalies, and mysterious production errors that have captivated experts, treasure hunters, and numismatists for decades. And as always, I welcome you with excitement and appreciation as we uncover yet another mind-blowing possibility. Hiding in the pockets, drawers, and forgotten jars of everyday people, because coins like this remind us that the American mint's long history has countless secrets, mishaps, and unintentional masterpieces that can turn the smallest object into a life-changing fortune. And the 1968 S penny is one of those legendary pieces that continues to fuel speculation and spark intense debate among collectors around the world, starting with the fact that 1968 was the first full year of production at the newly reopened San Francisco Mint, where the facility was adjusting to major operational changes, new machinery calibrations, and the introduction of updated quality control systems that were not yet operating at perfect consistency, creating the perfect conditions for rare mistakes, exotic anomalies, and one-of-a-kind minting accidents that could slip through unnoticed. And that is exactly what is believed to have happened with this extraordinary coin, whose mystery begins with its unbelievable strike quality, or lack thereof, because certain surviving specimens of the 1968 S penny appear to have wildly inconsistent pressure levels during the striking process, resulting in partial ghost-like details on Lincoln's bust, doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," strange soft edges around the date, and the possibility of a dramatic double die verse that shows unmistakable separation lines along the lettering, along with the possibility of machine doubling that was enhanced by aging machinery inside the San Francisco facility during that period. But the deeper the experts look, the more mysteries they uncover, because the reverse of the coin has also shown signs of dramatic die erosion, unusual die polishing marks, and in the rarest documented examples, die cracks running through the Lincoln Memorial columns like tiny fractures created by excessive die wear. Combined with areas of misalignment that suggest the planchet may have shifted slightly during the striking process, and some specialists argue that this specific coin may have been part of a tiny batch struck on experimental or transitional planchets, possibly using bronze with slight composition irregularities, which would explain why metallurgical tests performed on certain authentic specimens have revealed unusual weight deviations, different densities, or faint color variations compared to standard 1968 pennies, raising questions about whether the mint was testing new variations of planchets or simply experiencing unstable alloy mixing during that production cycle, both of which would dramatically increase rarity and collector value. And the mystery doesn't end there, because whispers within the coin collecting community suggest that a handful of 1968 pennies may have been mistakenly struck using leftover proof dies, or even worse, defective proof dies that were accidentally used for circulation strikes, meaning some coins intended to be pristine and mirror-like ended up being released into general circulation with unusual frost patterns, mirrored fields, or hybrid proof circulation characteristics that only appear under magnification. And these kinds of errors are virtually impossible to replicate or intentionally create, making them unbelievably valuable when discovered in natural, original condition. And what truly pushes the potential value of certain specimens to the $22 million level is the extreme scarcity of surviving examples in high grade, because most 1968 pennies entered heavy circulation, suffered wear, scratches, and discoloration, leaving only a microscopic number of high-quality error examples in existence. And when something is both rare and mysterious, with a backstory involving transitional metals, doubled dies, proof die confusion, die cracks, die polishing anomalies, off-center striking, misaligned dies, and dramatic mint inconsistencies, it becomes a dream coin for elite collectors willing to pay premium prices to own. Something that represents a genuine minting accident from a transformational era of American coin production, a coin that tells a story of imperfect machinery, evolving minting techniques, human oversight, and the kind of once-in-a-lifetime error that cannot be duplicated, predicted, or mass-produced. And that is why today, when a perfect example of the 1968 era penny emerges, especially one with a strong strike, visible doubling, planchet anomalies, or hybrid proof characteristics, its bidding value skyrockets, easily climbing into multi-million-dollar territory, because collectors understand they are not simply buying a coin, they are buying a piece of minting history, a rare accident, and a treasure that represents the unpredictable beauty of human and mechanical mistakes, proving once again that every coin in your pocket has a story, and sometimes that story is worth more than $22 million. So always check your change, search through those old jars and drawers, and never underestimate the power of a penny, because one tiny copper coin could turn into the greatest financial discovery of your life. And as we continue unraveling the remarkable story of the 1968 penny, it becomes increasingly clear why this tiny 1-cent piece captures the imagination of collectors and dreamers around the world, because the more experts dig into its origins, the more layers of mystery begin to unfold, like the rumors that during this period, the San Francisco Mint was undergoing significant technical adjustments after reintroducing regular coinage production, meaning that die preparation, metal sourcing, planchet punching, and final striking were all being fine-tuned simultaneously, creating a perfect storm of opportunities for unusual anomalies to slip into circulation unnoticed. And that's why some researchers believe that certain extremely rare 1968 pennies may have been struck with misaligned hubs, leading to coins where the obverse and reverse don't line up perfectly. A subtle flaw invisible to the casual eye but highly desirable in the world of numismatics, while other specialists point to photographic evidence showing examples with extremely sharp die scratches running behind Lincoln's portrait, scratches so deep and so perfectly parallel that they could only come from a heavily damaged proof die mistakenly repurposed for circulation strikes. And if that theory holds true, those coins represent one of the most significant minting blunders in modern U.S. history. A mistake that should never have happened but somehow did, creating an ultra-rare hybrid coin that sits somewhere between circulation strike and proof strike, with an appearance so unique that collectors would pay any price to own it. And adding even more intrigue is the possibility that some 1968 planchets were improperly annealed, meaning the heating and cooling process used to prepare the metal wasn't perfectly controlled, resulting in pennies with subtle surface textures, hairline patterns, or odd toning that doesn't match typical bronze pennies from that era, and these microscopic details, invisible to most people and often dismissed as wear or natural aging, can actually indicate a rare metallurgical error that sends the value soaring, especially when combined with other dramatic minting mistakes like repunched mint marks, which some experts believe occurred multiple times that year as the San Francisco Mint struggled with manually applied mint marks, creating varieties where the small s appears doubled, tripled, slightly rotated, or punched in slightly different positions, each one representing a unique collectible variety with massive potential value depending on clarity, strike, and preservation. And when all these possibilities come together, doubling, repunching, misalignment, planchet irregularities, proof die contamination, die scratches, off-center strikes, and exceptional rarity, they create a perfect storm that transforms a simple penny into a once-in-a-generation treasure that could easily reach or even exceed $22 million at a high-stakes auction, especially if the coin exists in a pristine grade like MS67 or higher, with sharp luster, clear anomalies, and original surfaces untouched by circulation, because collectors are not only paying for the coin itself but for the embedded mystery, the historical significance, and the thrill of owning something so rare that it borders on myth. And what makes the 1968 penny even more emotionally powerful is the idea that it could still be hiding somewhere right now, in someone's dusty old coin jar, in a forgotten piggy bank, tucked away in the back of a drawer, or buried in a box of inherited belongings that no one has examined in decades, just waiting for the right person to discover it. And that's why viewers love stories like this, because they ignite the imagination, spark curiosity, and remind all of us that treasures aren't always locked away in museums or stored in vaults. Sometimes they're sitting quietly in ordinary places, waiting to be found by someone who takes the time to look closely. And that feeling, the possibility that any person, anywhere, could stumble upon a life-changing coin worth millions, is what makes the 1968 penny such a legendary figure in the world of rare coins, a symbol of hope, luck, historical mystery, and the incredible value hidden inside small, everyday objects that most people overlook without a second thought.